Welcome back to what is part 3 of hopefully only 3 for the TeamSpy exercise on the CyberDefenders platform. So, in part 2, we managed to finish the, first 10 questions of 16 that were all centered around the eCorp Office system, memory capture, and everything else should be eCorp Win 7. Although technically both machines were Windows 7. And as it plays out exactly the same in regards to a malicious attachment in an email, I'm going to cut out the middleman. We're just going to go through and do a search for PST, OST, and just see as to really what we can shake out from that aspect to finish off these last 6 questions and complete the exercise. So let me go ahead and get Remnux transition. So the first thing is that we're looking for the MD5 hash of the malicious Word document. So we'll transition over. I've just got a separate tab for the eCorp Win 7 directory. Since everything was split off, I've gone ahead and done the preliminary for make the directory for PST_files, expecting that we'll find PST as opposed to OST. And run a PS list off of the image just to make sure that it is indeed the Win7 SP1 X64 profile and that it works. And of course that has the added benefit of confirming that yes, Outlook is indeed open. So we're going to do much the same as before. We're going to do file scan and we're going to export it to a text file. So we can run grep to confirm the existence of PST, OST. Maybe we can even try looking for any sort of doc files and see what shakes out of that too, just like before. I suppose worst case with 2, we could also kind of expand it to like PDF and XLS files and see what shakes out. I mean, it's stating document, but it's not necessarily saying that, okay, that could not include a spreadsheet, that could not include a PDF document. And again, for the portion of time, I'm just going to go through and, especially on these longer commands, I'm just going to go ahead and pause and then pick back up. Alright, so that's done. So we're going to cat file scan.text. We are going to grep that sucker for .pst. OST. Oh. Yeah, it's just looking for OST in the entire aspect. So, okay, nothing there. But do we have at least confirmed? Yes. We have at least 2 confirmed PST files. Okay, so apparently nothing stayed. As I'm looking through this, I'm not seeing any actual portions. So Let's see, that was network scan when we were looking for that. File scan. We're running strings looking for the TeamViewer aspect. I suppose I could just go back to the comms, considering the fact I got help off this one. Which is fine. Okay, so we have this. So we are going to do dump files. R PST U N D as PST files to denote the folder created. It will go through and do its needful, and we should end up with a bunch of files. Okay, it has finished. Oh, you know what? I gotta go actually into the directory. And then we paste for the PFF export for everything that's there. It does its business. And then we're going to do the find, and we're specifying type, doing name, and anything Excel, anything PDF. Current form, macro, binary. Okay, fine. Straight doc, docx. Really? Not a damned thing. Hmm. So we managed to anything. Well, let's see what we were at least able to carve out of this thing. So I don't know as to whether or not if it's going to be the same aspect. Another eCoin invoice or whatever the case is going to be. Well, I find it odd that none of these had. So we got message one, no attachment. Automatic testing. Internal. And of course the loving aspect and use of various words. But I mean, I get it. It's internal communications, and apparently these people are having a hard time at eCorp. All right, so we have the Armada Collective notification come in. So same thing we had observed previously. Continuing messages. Of course, not have anything in there, but hey, look, we have an attachment this time. Ooh. 1_important E-Corp lawsuit Washington leak. Okay, so now here's the question. Did I drop? I did. Okay, let's just kind of space this sucker out. Okay, so let's do this. Attachments. We're obviously not going to run this, but we are going to dump it through. Now, the typical thing applies. We're just going to go through and have to do it, the hash, and if the sample's there, we would be redirected, which it is. So, the one thing to keep in mind, and I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, is that when you go through and if you don't generate a hash in search, you run the risk that you could actually upload sensitive information that might be contained inside of any of those documents up to one of these sites. And I can tell you, as someone who has access to a paid account for VirusTotal, you find something there, you can pull it down to play with. Oh, came back as a 0. That it did, which I believe we saw last time as well. Okay, so 0 bytes. So that tells us that effectively we will find it. Crap, was that message 4 or message 5? Looks like message 5. I need you to check this document to see if it's part of a leak. Kind regards, Mr. Chung. From Lloyd Chung at AllSafe CyberSec. Okay, so it seems like it's kind of a joint, like Mr. Robot and Philip Price. Isn't Price the guy from, oh, what is it, Call of Duty? I'm sure I'm getting that wrong, but let me guess, this one, do we have 0 bytes? Shite. Okay, all hope is not lost. We know that we're looking for an RTF. Oh, no, John Price. Fictional character in the Call of Duty series. Captain Price. Okay, wait, there's one for VCAP export as well. Okay, so that's something else we can take a look at. E910. Well, I mean, there's only... Well, no. Okay, so apparently we know that there's... know that there's a RTF here, but hmm. Okay, so we dumped everything, but we didn't look for RTF. Which we have a local copy on the file system. Okay. So let's do make directory RTF files. And then effectively we are going to run the same aspect. Dump files. Said we're going to change it. Destination will stay the same. TF. We're going to do, instead of the R, PST, we're going to do Q. And then we're going to specify the memory offsets. And I believe we can do 2, as long as we just keep specifying. So I want the one that looks like it was probably opened, because it's got the tilde, and then I want the one that was not at the time that this thing was done. Both figures, or both sets of fingers. Yeah, an RTF document. Very sus. You would think most of the stuff would be sent as PDF for notice, because I mean, obviously you don't want to send anything that's editable. Oh, it's also a different user this time. Scott Knowles as opposed to Philip Price. Apparently I need to go back and rewatch Mr. Robot. Oh, Philip Price is CEO of eCorp. Yeah, apparently I need to go back and rewatch. Okay, then who is Scott Knowles? Scott Knowles is the Chief Technology Officer of eCorp, replacing Terry Colby. I remember because Terry Colby was set up. It was season 1, wasn't it? Okay, anyway. So we have two sets. 106 and 4. So let's just take the bare essentials and we're just going to dump this in here and let it compute the hash. The sample is already uploaded and available in the system, so we did not have to confirm the file upload. And okay, we have numerous detections on this thing. About 65% maybe? 60, 65, somewhere within there, considering facts 75 would be roughly here. Oh, maybe almost 70, I don't know. Anyways, okay, so we are looking for then the MD5, yes? Yes. So starting in 2 Charlie 5, ending in 4-1 Bravo. So we take that back, pop that in there. Really? I mean, really? What about the other one? Five years ago. But nothing detects it, so you would figure that if something was going to be there. So more than likely we're in the... It was run through hybrid analysis and given a 73 out of 100. Yeah, I'm fairly certain that's not how a rich text document's supposed to look. Wait, it's opened up as a DAT? What? Interesting, to say the least. I don't like the nulls at the end of it. I mean, I don't know if that F's it up. But it does pick up that that's supposed to exist. Just the... Apparently it's in the system still. The hash is different. It was last checked 5 months ago. Let's try it. Crap. Sorry. So we had the two different sets of files, so I was taking a look at the DAT. Now that I've got to kind of go back to bring this forward. So we get all this stuff, and then at the end of it, there's a bunch of nulls. I don't particularly like how those look, thinking that something's kind of messed up. So all I did is removed said nulls in the copy that I made. So now it just ends with the curly bracket, curly bracket, curly bracket, curly bracket. And apparently this has been seen before too. Still registers as an RTF that's still with CVE 2010-3333 and that it's exploit. But it looks like it's been 5 months since this has been scanned. Not as much as the detection space, but that's also the difference between 2 months and 5 months of having been scanned. So let's just rescan it. I have the hash. So let's see as to whether or not if it was the nulls throwing everything off. Because I'm fairly certain we found our malicious document. That's what it was. For some reason, when the RTF was pulled out, it had a bunch of nulls amended to the end of it. So it'd be appended to the end of it. What is the common name of the malicious file that gets loaded? Now is where we change our tune to. Wow, 39 out of 60. Okay, I don't suppose it would be any different. I mean, if we just cat. Just basically have it pop out. I mean, catting's not going to do anything for us, right? I mean, it's just going to show the same thing. Okay, let's do this. We are just going to amend the file name. Make it a little bit easier so that I can just do cat im tab and have it autocomplete. So metric ton. And yes, I shouldn't be opening this, but I'm doing it anyways, so Actually, you know what? It'd just be simpler and probably faster to try it. I'm just going to take the code that's contained in the RTF. See as to whether or not if I can't dump it into CyberChef, run some magic after I clean up the brackets and the like. Since we should end with 4 curly brackets, and then we'll probably have more. Yeah, I think there were a couple of things in the front. And we'll just see what kind of magic CyberChef can do for us. Otherwise, I might have to ask for help again in regards to it to try to figure out what exactly they're going for here. All right, here's our input. Clear the brackets out. And then I don't know if I should keep any of this. What kind of magic can you derive from this? Alright, what if we just take the grouping that's there? Whoa. Too much recursion. Okay, let's try the basic. From base 64. So we have a massive things that we can't make any sort of determination on. Because magic does not want to run. Because apparently there's too much there. What if we start removing the depth? Will that eventually allow it to do something? This might require additional research. Okay, we're back. I know I'm pausing, but this has been a good little bit of time trying to get this stuff done. So I left off trying to get the common name of the malicious file that gets loaded. And I had to ask for a good bit of help. So I had to use RTF dump.py and then feed it the name of the RTF file. And it gave me 5 objects that were found inside there, no other analysis. So calling everything through, I went through and did RTF dump.py, supplied it the RTF file name, space dash lowercase s, to select the object in question. So I went through and I did one start, and then I incremented all the way through, space dash capital H, space dash lowercase d as in Delta. Ran through, so I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And basically that gave me objects, or obj1, obj2, obj3, obj4, obj5. Taking those, I then dumped it into, or called scdbg. I had to set an offset of 7, which is in the upper right hand corner. Let me get that bigger. So yeah, right here. I realize it may not come forward all that well. Oh, it's still trying to shake everything out. And then went through and did object 1, did object 2, object 3, object 4, until, I mean, realistically, the only thing that's really in there, and that just looks terrible now. I had to set for unlimited steps, and I started flipping through the different offsets. I did have to ask for help, but because apparently what I wanted to focus on was object 5, and I was told I was going to need to sit there and adjust the offset value. So that gives us something interesting. So this goes through, it runs, and then we actually get, okay, so load library A, internet open A, then we see files.allsafe cybersec.com, port 80, and it opens a request to /AV/AVUpdate.exe. And then we get create file A, ecorpav.exe. And it looks like it executes it. So basically, the common file, I believe, would be ecorpav.exe. If not, then we've still got avupdate.exe to sit there and play around with. But let's take a look. No? Damn. I hate this one thus far. Well, yeah, and it doesn't really quite fit in what's there anyways. So I guess the other aspect that we would probably look for is why don't we see if we can't find that? So if we go back, to the main directory, and if we do cat file scan, then we do grep for ecorpav. Hey, we got a hit. Underneath Scott Knowles documents ecorpav.exe. That's kind of an interesting spot to pull that, but okay. I guess it was probably a good thing that I was in here. We want vmem. The profile is still win7sp1 x64. We're going to do a dump file so we can actually get a portion for that. We're going to do the offset, which is right here from what we found. debugger. It's like if I had unlimited disk space, it'd be just like, okay, just get everything and just extract everything and we'll just dig through it from there. Okay, so we're gonna get the location value. We want to do UN, and then we're gonna do dump, and we're just gonna specify where we're at because we just want to dump it straight into this ecorp win7 folder. That should go through, do the needful. So we got the file. Well, okay, we should have the file shortly, and we'll see what virus total says of it. So I don't know as to whether or not, if you go through and do this yourself, if you'll have to change the offset value when you go through and do the SCDBG. But just bear that in mind. Okay, and if we just do an ls, we see that we have file.none. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so then we do md5 sum and start with file. Oh, I did not have enough coffee today. Oh, okay, fine. File.none. All right, now we have a hash value. Oh yeah, I did try DocGuard and just dump the RTF into it to see as to anything shook out. Not so much. Oh yeah, they finally added dark mode to virus total if you got tired of the white and blue. Please tell me that this is in here. Although I suppose if it's not like I just couldn't upload it. But if this is back from all the way in 2016, I would have to think that, oh, okay, good, it is, and it's over a year old. And we're looking for, hang on, let me go back to my Firefox window. It should be 5 characters is what we're looking for, assuming that we're going to get anything. So what exactly is this? Core plug? I thought I saw that somewhere else in here too. Core plug. Icarus. One thing for dark shell. ESET picks it up as core plug. But that's too many characters. Apparently core plug is a rat? Let's see. Core plug is distributed by a group of cybercriminals known as Mustang Panda. Tone for targeting non-government organizations. The core plug rat, also known as plug There we go. Plug X. Here, let me switch screens so I can show you what I'm looking at in terms of the Google search, also known as Plug X, and that's 5 from Heimdall Security. How about that? Please? I always say please because it's like I've been working on this thing for numerous days. I tried to go as long as possible without trying to ask for some assistance on that portion. Dear Lord. What password does the attacker use to stage the compressed file for exfil? Which means we're going to go through and do file scan, and we're going to have to take a look and examine the results and see what shakes out. Right? Yeah, I mean, we have it. We might as well use the file scan and see what shakes out of that. Because, I mean, first we got to find it if we're going to try to figure out what else we're trying to do with this stupid thing. Okay, so cat file scan grep. We're gonna start with .7z. .zip. Um, uh, so I tell you .tar, but somehow we end up with like star. Okay. What's the other one? GZ, right? Nothing there. So zip, 7-zip, rar. Really? Okay, what if we try this? Let's do egrep. Dot rar. 7-zip. Zip. Tar. Gzip. So it's specifically looking for those, and we get nothing. If not file scan, there was something else. Wasn't there? File system underneath the command reference. This plugin scans for potential master file table entries in memory. So MFT parser, yes, that's okay. So then we've got to go through and because file scan didn't pick up anything, so that could be the only other thing I could think of to try to sit there and take a look at. So MFT, I'm not going to get the autofill. Okay, that's fine. Parser, and then we'll just dump it out as MFT. All right. I just want to get this done. Oh, we're already approaching an hour. Well, okay. That's being recorded. The amount of time that's been off on this is just flippin' terrible. Okay. So in the whole aspect of time, I'm just gonna pause and then pick back up. It happened again. Walked away. It's taken a while to do MFT parser, but that's not a very big surprise with that. So that finished, and then ran cat mft.txt, and then the vertical line, egrep, and then the code for the various hits centered around compression file extensions. Haven't had my first coffee yet. Of this day now. So that goes through and that gives us a bunch of the standard stuff inside of the Windows directory. Okay, Chrome installer, Bitcoin master, that looks a little bit ecoin, zip. The one that looks out of place, considering the fact that, I mean, their whole thing has been talking about ecoin, which, okay, if this is in the Mr. Robot universe, then that would make sense that, okay, E Corp would want to have its own ecoin as opposed to Bitcoin. Why not? Putting that stuff aside, the only thing that looks odd is this program data reports.rar, which typically you don't see too many, if at all, any sort of compressed files inside of program data. Although I have seen that used for various aspects of infections to Windows boxes. So unfortunately, I think we need so it's there, but we can't pull it. So let's do this. We're gonna do strings on, and we're gonna grep or what we found there. So program data reports.rar. And we're going to see what shakes out of this sucker. Because Because if I'm right, we should see some. If we get the if it's recorded somewhere within there, inside that mem file, we will probably find the command line that would go through, grab all the relevant data, and basically in the creation of that RAR file, which would include, hopefully, an aspect to that string that would cover the password. So, I mean, if they're using, WinRAR or something else like that in the command line, it's usually denoted with a -P and then following the password that's used. But we'll have to wait and see. So in typical fashion, I'm going to go ahead and get this paused, and I'll pick back up hopefully in short order when this is done, and not another instance where like 18 hours has gone by. Oh. Okay. Strings by itself did not work, so I had to go through and was playing with a bunch of the different options. So I had to sit there and specify strings -A, -TD, so A for all, scan the entire file, not just the data section. Go through and print the location in base 10. So that's the -TD. Although I don't really think I'll probably need that, but it's always nice to have. And then for the -EL for the encoding for 16-bit. If I wouldn't have gotten anything, I would have continued to move on to uppercase L, lowercase s, uppercase s, but typically starting with 16-bit, 16, 32, and then after that try the odd ones out. But after going through and doing that, we have finally got results. And as we can see, so okay, this is deleting of the RAR file, password 123. And then we see here for C program data, Adobe, r.exe, archive, -P, password 1234, to the specific RAR file, and then everything that's inside there. So I'm willing to bet that if we sat there and searched for program data Adobe, we would probably find evidence of staging, which just for my own curiosity. So I'll go ahead and let that do its thing. The other aspect I observed in there was D1234, but that is too small for number 13. So okay, getting there. Final 3 questions. I think I'm just going to make this a 3-parter, as opposed to just cutting us off on the last 3 questions, because that'd be kind of crappy. Oh, I wanted to sit there and take a look at everything. So I believe, let me go back to the command reference. Am I able to extract out I don't think it's anything that's included to try to get this stuff. Nope, I don't see it. Yep, it's still running. So let's see, I mean, we've got the generic ones of the commands for connections, conscan, socket, sockscan, netscan. I mean, we can sit there. Oh, okay, yeah, it's not going to work. Connections is XP and Server 2003 only. Same thing with conscan. Sockets apparently is the same. Sockscan. Now netscan is looks like Vista 2008 Server 7, and I'm sure probably up. So we'll try a net scan to see as to whether or not if anything shakes out off of this particular aspect, and we'll move from there. So again, in the abundant portion of time, I'm going to pause and then pick back up because as I'm looking over, Remnux is still doing its thing to see as to whether or not if we can actually find the evidence of stuff being dumped to that Adobe folder in program data. So I will be back shortly. Okay, so apparently that doesn't resolve chat crap. So rather than continuing to futz about it, I'm just going to work towards getting the rest of this stuff done. So we want to do a net scan to see as to whether or not if we get anything that if anything else will come back. And see basically what pulls out from there. And of course, in the whole aspect, we're still sitting here waiting. So I guess what kind of hint do we get? 2, 2, 3, 3 in terms of octets for the IP address in question. Just as a refresher. And then we need an email address to send a phishing email and the name of the deb package the attacker staged to infect the eCoin servers. Which makes me wonder, because there was like a Bitcoin master, and then there was an eCoin dash something dot zip off that previous portion. So I wonder if that's going to come back, and we'll have to carve that out to try to take a poke at it. So that's still going. So in normal aspect, I'm just going to pause and pick back up. Okay, so again, we are looking for 2233 terms of optics for octets for the IP address. The net scan has finished, and I am seeing 52.90.110.169. Looks like an Amazon address. So I guess technically, if you're going to stand something up in order to sit there for specifically C2, why not? So let me bring back the Remnox window and we can work through this. So it looks like every single time it's SVC host. And I kind of dug through all this looking for something else to kind of stand out. But again, we get SVC host. We get SVC host. All port 80. Which, if I remember correctly, that files.allsafecybersec.com. That might be something to take a look and see if that resolves to an actual address, because it's where the stuff, where this was pulled down. Again, another one from SVC host. And it's so far the only one that I've observed that matches the portion that we're looking at. It's always SVC host. I mean, if this was put on AWS infrastructure in order to create the exercise, okay, I could then kind of see it because, okay, it's talking back to, something Amazon, but I would have to assume this is probably being put together on somebody's workstation, like in VMware Workstation or something similar to that effect, or even VirtualBox, I mean, whatever the case would be. So I think we've got enough here. I mean, it's circumstantial, but at least off the NetScan, it's the only thing that really matches 2233 that I've come across. If that doesn't work, then yes, we will have to take a stab and try to find something else. So let's see. Oh, I'm glad. We're in the final steps. So now we have to go back to the email address that sent the thing, which, if memory serves me right, was somebody from that AllSafe. Lloyd Chung, I think? Because they sent it over. Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to start moving my recording over to my new laptop. It's either that or get some sort of remote desktop access up so I can remote in on the home network into the beast of the machine to sit there and run this stuff. Okay, so we don't want the RTF files. We want the PSTs and everything that we went through to kind of rip out. So we want to go back to that. Oh, maybe if it wants to open up for us. Okay. Background noise. I guess that's what happens when effectively, there are two adults in a household and they all work from home. So I'm trying to remember where. Yeah, because they sent it over to like, hey, can you take a look and confirm this? So there's the RTF document in question, even though we couldn't parse it out properly. But if we take a look at the internet headers, we should have the recipient or the sender's address. Yeah, Lloyd Chung at allsafecybersec.com. So let's jump back. Okay, good. We're in the right track. Now we're down to the very last aspect, the last question. And I'll make that part 4, of which, of course, I am entirely joking. Um, well, if it hit this Win 7 machine, then why don't we just do another MF or cat the MFT, and we'll look for deb file, because that's what we're looking for, right? This is what it wants. Name of the deb package, the attacker stage to infect the ecoin servers. So then let's find. I mean, it's a Windows box, so there really shouldn't be Debian packages on a Windows box. Maybe if it was a Windows 10 or 11 with the, what is it, Windows subsystem for Linux or Linux subsystem for Windows, whatever it is, to basically run it or run an instance of Linux inside your Windows box. So we're looking for cat mft.txt, and then we're grepping force for .deb. Whoa, why are we duplicating? Because I think I'm just either typing too fast or oh, I knocked out the capital F due to the input lag. Yeah, what the hell's up with the input lag? Seriously. Yeah, processor is entirely pegged. OBS is honking up about 50% of everything. Wow. But then again, I have been recording for, well, supposedly this has been up for 9 days. So yeah, I guess I'm really not overly surprised. Debug, Debian, eCoin. Hello. AV, Linux AV.deb. Okay. LINU. It fits. And if it fits, I sits. Linux AV.deb. Baba Booey, baby. I'm gonna give it high. I'm gonna mark it as difficult just because the fact I still had to go out and request assistance for the shellcode aspect from the RTF document. Apparently I need to find some more RTF documents to reverse engineer to get a little bit better with that. It's not something you generally see much anymore, it seems like. I mean, everything was, I'm sure it was RTF before Microsoft Office took a full foothold, and then it was Doc and XLS, and then that became, what, then it was all focused on the macros that would be able to be dumped inside of that. And now, since the macros have been turned off by default in most cases, we've got Microsoft turning off the Excel 4 macros, 4.0 macros, or at least planning to. And we've got bad actors basically switching over to .1 files and whatever else they can get their hands on. But woot, woot, woot. It was a longer journey than most, but we beat it. This has been TeamSpy on the CyberDefenders platform. Supposedly a published exercise from June 2022, although this is probably from GERCON 2016, just by given the dates that we found in there. But definitely well worth the time to go through and take a crack at. Highly recommend. Now, with all that being said, pause the VM, and we'll go through and I'll get the rest of this stuff cleaned up, and we'll get this three-parter all dumped up onto YouTube. So, If you've stuck it around this long, I do appreciate you. Hopefully you learned something, because I know I've learned quite a bit. And I've been doing this a while. But that's the beautiful thing about these various platforms. Constant working of the skills, constant improvement. So always good. So all that being said, I will see everybody in hopefully not a 3 or more part video series.